Today I have the privilege of being joined by Nathan Nicholson from Lunar Sales Consultancy. I've known Nathan for a few years now, and I thought I'd invite him along because he's turned around businesses that were in failure. He's grown businesses from a couple of million up to the 30 million mark. So he knows his apples, and I thought, well, I might as well take advantage and get his insights. Welcome, Nathan. Nice to see you. I had a question for you, and it's something that I've been asked by quite a few people over the years, is what is the perfect client to your service or product? And is there such a thing?
I think there is such a thing. And for me, it's about mapping out who your ideal client is. So asking questions around not just geography or demographic, but also going down into what is their daily lives look like? What are they looking for? What do they want to achieve? What's their dream outcome? What's their nightmare outcome in terms of, if you could wave a magic wand, what is it that they're looking for? And then when you flip that on the other side, what's their nightmare? If everything goes wrong, what does that mean for their world? And it's really getting into the nitty gritty of what they're looking for. And then the next steps really is understanding what are the problems that they face in order to get there. Sometimes the problems they're not aware of those problems. Sometimes they be a need rather than a problem itself. It's maybe something they want or rather than what they actually need.
So I suppose, so you're tapping into their fears and their best life, if you like. What's the best outcome and what's the kind of opposite of that? But also, I guess as well, if they've called you in, they know there's something wrong, right?
More often than not, it'll be a case that their numbers have been falling for a while. Their leadership team don't know how or what's the cause of that. Typically speaking, it's performance. It's management around key KPIs. What do they actually look like? Accountability, because accountability is huge, regardless whether that's the sales team or the business as a whole. And accountability really is around what's the mission statement, what's their ethos, but do they actually know their numbers? There are a number of companies that I've worked with recently where there isn't a specific and measurable, so a smart action around what those goals are, or even clear goals as to what they actually need to achieve.
Right. So if I was a small business just starting out and I've got 2 salespeople or 3 salespeople, I haven't got lots of processes and systems in place. How could I navigate putting in KPIs and something that's measurable in an accountable way so that you can see what activity is going on and stuff like that? Any thoughts?
It's much easier when you're a certain size and you've got a CRM and things like that, and they're not working on spreadsheets. Sometimes smaller businesses will still be working on spreadsheets, but effectively the way I look at it is you measuring against effort versus efficiency. Now, what I mean by effort versus efficiency is the amount of calls that you're making, the amount of follow-up emails that you're making, the amount of quotes that you're sending out. Those are all effort-based activities. So you can measure that by how many dials they're making, how many connections they're actually having in terms of how many conversations above 5 minutes that's actually moving that needle in the direction to the next yes that you need in order to actually achieve the sale. And then efficiency-wise, that is a completely different lever, and that's a skill set issue. Whereas the effort side of it is a will issue. It's generally because they don't want to, they're not comfortable, are scared of the phone. There are a number of issues as to why people won't engage the phone or make the effort to actually get the result that they're looking to, or they need to as a department, as an individual. Whereas the nuance on the other side of that is efficiency. That's a skill, and that's something that we can teach, you can teach, because they're willing to put the effort in as long as they have clear direction as to what that actually needs to be. So you work the numbers. If I make 100 calls, I speak to 50 people. If I speak to 50 people, I sell 10 units. Those are the numbers. The numbers are the numbers. And you can teach the skill to improve the efficiency side of things, but that comes after you've actually measured out those metrics.
Right, so you're starting with metrics and then you're getting to a point of going, right, okay, we're going to turn this from a numbers game into a results game, right?
Yeah, exactly that.
So, and then obviously and that's where you come in, because you're training them on how to negotiate, how to open a call.
Yeah.
Because how many seconds have you got on a phone to captivate somebody?
It's initial, and it comes down to understanding the problems, because what you're trying to do depends on whether you're an inbound sales team or an outbound sales team. In terms of inbound sales teams, they have already identified that they have an issue and that you could potentially solve that. So all you're doing is listening. You're asking the right questions, you're probing, your understanding of their world in terms of, are they looking for something cheap? Are they looking for something bespoke? Are they looking for something that you offer? And then tailoring your conversation to actually solve the problems that you should know at this point, because if you've done your due diligence around who your ideal client is, you know what the pain points are, you know what the problems are, so you can talk to them and be an expert. You can position yourself as the expert and guide them to the solution, which ideally would be yourselves.
So that's interesting, because back in the day, I used to sell advertising to motor dealers for the newspaper, Birmingham Post and Mail, actually. And it was really interesting because we had metrics that we could measure, and we had, I think it was 12 to 15 seconds to get engagement before they told you to go away unpolitely, which was quite funny. And that used to happen quite a lot. But then there were other metrics behind that weren't so measurable. Like one of them was smile before you dial.
Yeah.
So have that bouncy voice, make yourself upbeat, ready for the call. And then the other stuff you're talking about there is the preparation before the call, knowing about the client you're going to call, right?
Yeah.
And then tailoring your opening to suit that client, right?
Exactly. And one thing that I always see with sales reps is they make it about them. They start the call with, "Hi, it's Nathan. I'm calling from Lunar Sales Consultancy," and go into your pitch or go into your elevator pitch at that point. They're not interested in who you are and what you do, or they're interested in how you can help them. Each conversation you have throughout the sales process, it's always about them. And more often than not, salespeople tend to find themselves talking about themselves, the products, the features, the benefits. Your client and your prospect doesn't want to know about that. It's of no interest. The fact that your iPhone can be used as a spirit level, people don't buy it for that. It's an irrelevant feature to 99% of the population. So unless you are talking about a specific issue that they're looking to overcome, don't touch it.
And obviously you can't understand that issue until you've done some probing questions, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like, don't tell me about you, talk about me, and then we can get back to you once you've established I've got the need you want, right?
Yeah, exactly. So if I'm making an outbound call, for example, I would say, "Hi Rick, my name is Nathan. I'm calling from Lunar Sales Consultancy. I help business owners, MDs, small to medium businesses, or even large businesses." Obviously, you've done your research beforehand to understand what kind of business that you're calling, so you can tailor it to suit. People typically come to us because we help grow stagnant sales, regenerate, look at customer journeys. So for me, I would pick 3 pain points that I know that MDs in that sector or business owners in that sector have, and see whether one of those 3 pain points actually resonates. And that's how you get them to engage in a conversation, is pick one of those and see which one actually resonates. And then you go, have you got 2 or 3 minutes to see whether or not we could be a good fit?
So we delved a little bit deeper than I thought we'd go with this subject, which is great because I love to utilize the skills of Nathan whilst I could. So check in next time for the second part of this discussion, because we're only halfway through it. Okay, thanks for watching.